Okay, did I click it twice? No, I did not click it twice. Okay, good. Okay, so the touchscreen does not like this. All right. Okay. Stop. That's crazy. There's a sound there somewhere. Sorry. One of the middle row guys. Okay. So what we're seeing Brandon brain. Now, the way this works, I'm so happy this is working. This hasn't worked yet. It's like the first time it's finally worked. Okay. So what we're seeing is he has 86 billion-ish brain cells. Each of the 86 billion brain cells generates electricity. So what we can do with this cool little thing is this cool little device will record the electrical activity off his brain. So I am going to change the spacing. It doesn't like the touch screen. Okay, this is slightly different than the other one that we had, but okay. So what we're looking at is just the electrical activity off the surface of his brain. So this is like, I like using the analogy that it's this. It's like trying to predict the weather looking at maps that look like this. Can you predict the weather with maps that look like this? Kind of. Okay, the Midwest is about to get destroyed. That low pressure that went through us is hitting the southern jet, and you can just see where the southern jet is hitting this low pressure here. That by Louisiana. And then on the other side of it, look, it's snow. So Amarillo, Texas, getting snow. Okay. Woo-hoo. Anyway, ooh, awesome. Okay, stop. So, buffering? Did I use too much memory? There you go. Okay. I'm sorry, computer. I didn't mean to use too much memory. Okay. So this is the same thing as looking at the upper level winds in the environment. Are we really going to make much predictions, or can we really know much about him by looking at this? No. Okay. However, this one is twice as good as that one. So this one has 14 different electrodes on it. That's got 7. And we're seeing how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're seeing 5 out of the 7 points on his head. But what's interesting about this, okay, so I want you to close your eyes. Can you see a difference, not you, because your eyes are closed, can you see a difference between his brain with his eyes closed and with his eyes open? Yes, open your eyes and look around. So see the difference in his brain activity? Here, close your eyes again. Okay, I know. Okay, so wait for a second, and you can open your eyes, because theoretically took a screenshot of it, but I'm probably going to kill the RAM on this computer trying to do all this stuff at once. Okay. But, it's all right. I took a picture of me screenshotting the thing. Excellent job, RAM. Okay, let's try it again. That's actually a good one if it takes it. There it goes. Okay, you can open your eyes up. So what we're seeing on this is here, these are called beta waves. Beta waves are very irregular, very jagged, and lots of different frequencies. What'd they say? Oh, sorry. You're getting your workout for this morning. This is Brandon's brain. Yeah, okay. So, did they say you could take care of it after class? Or? Okay, I just want to make sure we didn't want to go late. Okay. So now, the beta waves are lots of electrical activity all over the place. There's another set of waves called gamma waves, and these are like gamma waves. And so I'm going to show you what those look like. Okay, we go back to his live brain. Okay, so just move your arms like this on either side. So what do you notice about as soon as he starts moving around a lot? What happens to the brainwaves? Now stop moving. Spikes. The key thing is spikes. So in electrophysiology research, buffering, what we look for are spikes. Spikes mean activation. Do you notice right before he moved there was a spike? Okay, so just move your left hand. So right before he starts, okay, put it down. Right before he starts to move, there's a spike. So blink your eyes 5 times. Slowly. That was slowly. Okay, so can you see us blinking his eyes? But notice in the middle. Okay, blink your eyes slowly 5 times again. See the brain in the middle here? See the purple and the blue line? You notice that the blinks don't, the top and the bottom are looking, they're looking at the movements of the muscles above his eyes, really. That's the noise from the muscles. So the reason why the brain generates these muscles, the reason why the brain generates these electrical activities is to cause the muscles to twitch. Has anybody had STEM in here? Where you hurt your muscles and they stick little pads on it? What are they putting the pads on there for? Electrical current. Well, the electrical current releases chemicals in the muscle. When you release the chemical in the muscle, it causes the muscle to contract. I don't want to get one of those ab things where you just lay there on the couch and you get abs. Exercise without exercise. Okay. Okay, so this is the reason, one of the reasons why we have this is not because of the cool playing with your brain. Okay, the reason why we have error. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming such viewers. Okay, I know because we're laggy. I'm sorry, YouTube, that we're laggy. Whatever. Okay, I'm not watching it. I don't care. It's still a little bit further behind too. Oh well. So, let me see what I was going to do. Okay, go back here. So this one, where is it? Is kind of neat. The annoying part, this part was working fine, but the other one wasn't. Okay, so what are we looking at right here? The activation of his brain. Okay? So let me do this. I'm going to turn up, I'm going to change it, the view here. Get the top view. Okay? So when I look at this top view of his brain, okay, what we're seeing is this is his left hand, this is his right side. Okay? We're going to learn some of the parts of this at the second part of class today. So I want you to close your eyes and just try to relax. So what you start to see is if I make a loud sound, like when I clap, no, nothing. Hello? Okay, fine. Oh. What happens as soon as he starts, I want you to think about a tree. Think about like a really big tree. So what happened when he started to change what he was thinking? You can turn it up to, this is the gamma, this is the spikies. So what this is really doing, and this would be cooler if it actually was doing what it was supposed to do. And we could actually look at the brain in 3D like this and see where brain parts are activated. But do you think this is actually what's happening in his brain? No. This is actually just kind of a fun little game to play. The reason why this exists, whoa, sorry, you spin your brain quite so much. That if we teach you how to meditate, I'm going to turn up this one right here, the blue one. Let's make it a little bit less sensitive. If I teach you how to meditate, I can, if you stare at the brain here for a second, look at the screen. Okay? I want you to see if you can turn the brain blue. The way you turn it blue is by clearing your thoughts. If you think about moving, it turns it red. So think about running. He wants to take a nap. So this takes actually a lot of time, and I have a student who is training to be a yogi, and she can turn her brain blue. How does she turn her brain blue? Meditating. She has a little mindfulness activities that she can practice, and by using this, she can just light the whole thing up blue. And what's cool about it is that you can actually see meditation. But that's not the reason why we want this thing. This is the reason why we want this thing. Okay, we're almost there. Now, I apologize for the headache that this is going to cause. You. Okay. Okay, we're good. We're losing a little connectivity here, but that's okay. Okay, so I'm going to create a new profile. My keyboard stopped working yesterday, and so I used the voice text to hey Cortina, and then it did it. Cortina? Whatever. Okay. Okay, so we're going to go to Brandon. Okay, so you're watching this. Okay. So what we're going to do is the reason why this was invented really was a brain-machine interface. So you could liberate yourself from having to need a mouse. This one is even better. A little bit more awkward to wear, and your hair has to be wet for it to work. But I had a student, I'll show you a video, playing Slither with this. So like wearing it and driving the computer around. With what? Those colors that he was producing. So the computer listens to the colors and then correlates the colors with behavior. Okay? It's actually kind of cool. It's called functional magnetic imaging. Okay, so now, I want you to just go back to a blank space. Just think of nothing. Okay? Come on. Oh, no touch screen. Just think of nothing. Okay, good job. Okay, so I'm losing a little bit of conductivity here. Okay, so now we're going to try that one more time. Okay, so I want you to think of just think of nothing. Just think of the plain nothing that you. Okay. Little connectivity issues. Oh, okay. Okay, so now. Okay. So now, what I want you to do is I want you to think about standing up, but you're not going to actually stand up. Okay? Don't watch anything here. Okay, so you ready? I want you to think about standing up. When it goes... Go. Try to think about standing up. Just push up with your legs. Push. Let's see. Hold on. I'll give you a good minute. Just saying. Sorry. Okay. There we go. 100%. Almost. Rejected. Oh. Yeah, it does. It changes a little bit, and so it's just because. Okay, so we're back, and it's this one on the ear. Science. Okay. This is why if we have it set with, there's some gel electrodes that we can have. But it. Okay. Here, move around a little bit, see that'll make it really suffer. Okay, there you go. So, yeah, that would just be fun for everybody. It's not that. There's supposed to be a contact gel that we can use. And we've been experimenting with different types of contact gel. Okay? And it seems to work okay, but okay, so let's just let that ride there. It seems to be stirring again. Okay, so think about standing up. Think about standing up, like pushing up. I might not like it. Might be too noisy. Okay. Okay, so we'll turn that again. Okay, so we'll think about pushing up, but you can see the inside thing. Push up really hard with your legs. All right. All right. So let me go back. Fine. Energy machine. This is dark. Sorry about that. All right, one more time. As long as it stays in yellow and green, we're good. There we go. Okay, so let's see if you can do this. Okay, so what I want you to do is I want you to think, okay, I want you to think about standing up. Okay? So picture standing up with your legs. Watch the box. Okay. Watch it when you think about standing up. Think about pushing really hard with your legs. You did it once. Okay, with your eyes closed then. That's right, it is easier with your eyes closed. So what were you thinking when you with your eyes closed? Standing up. Okay, so watch it. See if you can get it to go up. This actually requires a significant amount of effort, and it's ridiculous how hard it is. So one of my students, Christina Officer, actually, with this headset, was able to fly around Google Earth. There you go, you're getting it. Just watch it, because you got to be able to train what your brain is feeling and what it's doing. So how is he moving it? So the way you move a muscle is you send electrical activity down the muscle, which causes the muscle to release chemicals, which causes the muscles to contract. So how do you know your arm has moved? Somebody just said it over here. Feedback. How do you know your arms move? You can feel your muscles move. I'm sore, so I can feel my muscles move. You can also see your hand move. And so if you ever think about you're a little baby right now, and you want something, What do babies do to grab things? They flail. You're flailing right now. But what you're doing is by flailing, every so often, your brain does something that causes that to move. But what happens is when the brain, remember the colors going across your brain. When a certain pattern of those colors going across your brain happens, that cube moves. Right? So if you generate that same pattern again, what does the cube do? Moves. That's exactly how muscles go. Has anybody ever had like a nerve injury where they had to relearn how to move something in here? What did you have? He's gonna ask. Ah! Ouch! Oops! But then they just, sorry, and glued them back together? 4 years to see if they would grow back? Oh! Terrifying. Okay? I know, he's getting better at it. But it's funny. It's like for me, I'm sitting in the back of my minivan doing this when my son's back in basketball practice, and one of the dads walks by and sees me with this headset on and the cubes. So you can do lots of different things. You ready for level B here? Okay. Level B. Okay, we're going to do two things. So we're going to make this one, let's make it go away, like push away. So the way to do this is you have to think about pushing it away from you, like you're pushing away a plate of food. You push away a plate of food, that's pretty bad. Okay. Like think about pushing something away. Okay, we'll train that again. You've got good conductivity right now. Okay, we'll train that again. So think about pushing. Okay, cool. All right, so according to this, the little dots represent the differences that you can do between things. So as you're doing this, okay, let's see. This is going to cause the headache. Okay, so think about pushing it away, like you were just pushing before. You got it. It's really amazing how much energy this takes. Watch the kind of cute. You've been watching it out of the corner of your eye, and that seems to work better than looking directly at it. So think about pushing something away. So whenever you see it move out of the corner of your eye, stop, and then try to replicate that thought again. No, try. You can make it go up if you want, but you can try to push and stand up at the same time. This is seriously like trying to hold a piece of wood on the wall while holding a screwdriver with the screw falling out and trying to put it in. Yeah. Okay. And this is the kind of thing that requires a lot of concentration to do this, and you actually physically get tired. And the computer will completely die on memory if I try. But we could actually put the brain 3D software on. We can watch his brain. Whenever he makes it move, he produces a burst of gamma. Right before he moved his arm, you saw that spike? That's what this is looking for. It's looking for those spikes. And once you figure out spike equals move, you can start purposely spiking your brain. Okay, and so, one percent. Okay, draw it. So I just turned up the sensitivity of it. So you have to think less difficult, less hard, no, hardly, no, less. Can you both think out? Okay, we're almost done here. So why did it take Christina a couple weeks before she could actually get this thing to fly? Why did it take her a couple weeks before she could fly around Google Earth? Yeah, thank you. Good job. Okay. Why do you think it took her a while before she could actually do it right? She has to train her brain. What was great is that yesterday in my cognitive science class, we stuck her up here with the new machine, and in like 30 seconds, she has that cube going up and down. Just like that. So she's never used the new machine before, but what does she know how to do? Is it really controlling your brain? So you're in charge of your brain, or is your brain in charge of you? Okay. And so this is the whole. What we're really doing is this is the study of what we call why it started with a little red dot. I don't know. That's kind of cool. Chinese movie. Okay. So, in physiological psychology, brain is mind. I sent out a list of vocabulary words for you, right? Yeah. That list of vocabulary words, those are kind of things you want to start looking through the book. And if you start finding those things in the book, that is the language of psychology that talks about all the stuff that we're doing. In physiopsych, remember, this is actually where psychology started, studying the brain. We still don't know how it works. Let me stop the recording here because it's angry at me.